Action out there.
We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider Rapid Reactions Edition. It's presented by our friends at Modelo, an official beer of the Tar Heels. Jones Angell, Adam Lucas. We're here after Carolina kind of grinds it out against Boston College tonight, 72-64, the final score. And Adam, it just feels like it is always this way against BC. They know that when they come on the road, maybe they're not quite as talented as the Tar Heels. They need to kind of dirty it up a little bit, and they did a good job with that. Carolina led the entire game, but never really ran away either, and ended up a little tight there down the stretch.
Boston College plays such a unique style. Almost everything happens inside the three-point arc. They only took 6, and they missed them all, which is the first time since 1990 that a Carolina opponent hasn't made a three-point shot, a span of over 1,100 games. Carolina wasn't a whole lot better from the three-point line, but R.J. Davis made just enough. He made 4. Everybody else in the game put together on both sides made 6. Thank goodness R.J. Davis was here. And then Armando Bacot just continues an ACC Player of the Year type season, 20 points and 16 rebounds. A great game for Bacot, who was doing some banging down there in the post as Quentin Post seemed pretty intent on making that a physical battle and often not feeling that he was doing anything wrong. But Armando, as you see there, doing stuff like that, just going right around him for a dunk.
So Bacot, as there's just one of his 20 or 16 rebounds on the night. That was one of his 5 offensive rebounds. Puts up 20 points, 16 rebounds. It is his 60th career double-double. That ties him in Carolina history with Billy Cunningham for the all-time number. It's 8th highest in ACC history. Adam, I mean, anytime you're tying Billy Cunningham in anything, but especially when it comes to rebounds, you know you've done something at a really high level.
Think of all the great Tar Heels who have played in the last 60 years since Billy Cunningham played for Carolina. None of them have been able to get the number of double-doubles that Billy Cunningham and now Armando Bacot have gotten. Armando's just become very proficient in there around the rim. He said before the game he felt like he might go for 20 and 20. He fell just a little bit short, 4 rebounds short. That's okay. He can do that on Saturday against NC State.
Armando Bacot also moved into 26th all-time in Carolina history in scoring, 1 more point than Hubert Davis, as he now has just 1 more than the head coach of the Tar Heels. Speaking of Coach Davis, I had a chance to speak with him. Adam talked to R.J. Davis, who was really important in this game, had 18 points, 15 of them coming in the second half. So I talked to Coach Davis, Adam talks to R.J. Davis. Let's get to those conversations. We'll come back after that here on the Carolina Insider. Is the Continental Tire Coach's Corner as Carolina outlasts Boston College today in the Smith Center 72-64. Coach, going into this game, you kept saying this is going to be physical, this is going to be a fight, this is going to be an ugly kind of game, like a real tough one. It played out that way, but your team was able to prevail. Your thoughts after an 8-point win?
Well, as I said before, Boston College is a very physical basketball team. From a defensive standpoint, they just bump you on every cut, every move, and make it very difficult just to get into the offense. And if you do catch the ball, you usually catch it 1 or 2 steps out further. So you have to work really hard to be able to run your offense, get to your spots, and get the shots that you want. On the offensive end, one of the things that they struggle with is shooting consistently from the outside. So they attack the paint through post and penetration, and they've got a number of guys with athleticism that'll attack the basket and try to score in the paint and get to the free throw line. And so, that playing a team like that, it can take you out of rhythm, And I was really proud of our guys because when they cut it to 1, we responded on both ends of the floor. We made multiple stops. Caleb's charge, I think, was probably the biggest play of the game, and we executed on the offensive end and made the shots and got the shots that we wanted. And so I told them before, winning is hard. Winning in the ACC is hard, and it doesn't matter if it's home or on the road. When you get a chance and you win, that's whether it's pretty or ugly. Winning a conference game is a great thing.
14 offensive rebounds, 19 second chance points for your team. That felt like an important part of what you're able to do offensively tonight.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's something that we haven't done very well or consistently all year, and it's just who I am, and it's Carolina basketball. You got to rebound, you got to go to the offensive glass, and so I've prodded them on you better get to the offensive glass. It's going to affect your playing time, and I'm thankful the guys, tonight gave us second chance opportunities because that helped us. The one thing that we didn't do particularly well is, we settled for a lot of jump shots. I think we took 29 threes. That's just not sustainable. We can't. It's just not good. We've got to attack the basket through post or penetration, and what's been good for us is getting to the free throw line and scoring in the paint. And when you do that, that's what opens up the assists. I think we only had 8 assists, and so we had turned a corner where we were, hitting the open guy and taking care of the basketball, good to great. And tonight, I kind of went back where we were at the beginning of the season in that standpoint, and we've got to fix that for the remainder of the season.
Armando tied Billy Cunningham for all-time double-doubles in Carolina history. He had 20 points and 16 rebounds. Anytime you tie Billy Cunningham, you've done something pretty impressive. Just another chapter for Armando tonight.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Mr. Cunningham gave me a call. I got to give him a call back. It's really hard. I got the voicemail, and I just was like, wow, Mr. Cunningham gave me a call, left me a voicemail. His career here, his career in the NBA as a player and as a coach, and it's pretty cool. But anytime you're mentioned with Mr. Cunningham, that means you're doing something unbelievably great. And Armando's just a special player. Very few people have been able to do what he's done throughout his career, and I'm just really happy for him.
You've been asked about Caleb and his shooting a lot here recently, and you've said, I want him to be a basketball player, whether or not the shot's going in or not, want him to continue to do things. How do you toe that line with him when he was struggling to shoot the basketball, but then he comes back and hits some big shots late in the game? How do you try to encourage him to go out there and be Caleb, but also do things to help this team win?
Well, I always say, when you're struggling to shoot the ball from the outside, I always say keep shooting, but shoot good shots, and if you continue to shoot good shots, eventually they'll go in. And I thought the good shots that Caleb shot, particularly in the second half, I think those are the ones that went in, and then also, I talked to him about getting to the free throw line, like attacking the basket, and also talking to him about, he's a basketball player, so he can make an impact in many different areas. So he took the charge. Okay, so there's other ways than just scoring to feel good about yourself and to feel like you have value. You can defend, you can rebound, you can distribute, you can do hustle plays. Those are a benefit to the team, and I was really proud in the second half with Caleb. I thought he made those hustle plays, and defensively, that charge I thought was fantastic.
You had Pete back. How'd you think Pete fit back in? And you didn't have Jalen tonight. How's Jalen doing?
Yeah, I was frustrated. He twisted his ankle in shoot around. In shoot around, and so I was speaking with the TV analyst, and I turned around, didn't know where Jalen was, and they said he stepped on the back of someone's foot at shoot around, and so he's out, and that's something I'm so glad that Pete was back because we need him. His ability to play the 5, and he can shoot from the outside, and he has length. That helps out. But I was really excited about Jalen and his growth out there on the floor, and we need help in that area. So if, it depends on how far, Jalen is out, we're going to have to, play Justin. We're going to have to play Dontrez. We are Puff at the 4. We just need help at that position. I didn't like the minute distribution where all those guys were playing 30 minutes. I think it's really good for us to have more balanced and guys coming off the bench playing a little bit more minutes.
Last thing, I know we've gone a long time. Thanks for your time. State coming in on Saturday. They're playing well. Saturday afternoon game, obviously a big rivalry there. Should be a great atmosphere in the Smith Center. Yeah,
it should. I mean, they are playing extremely well, and they're very confident, and they should be confident because they are playing extremely well. And so it's always fun, playing against them, and whether it's, in Raleigh or here, it's always a big-time matchup. And, we're going to enjoy tonight because it's hard to win, and so I want to enjoy winning against a really good Boston College team, and then I'll think about NC State tomorrow. But, Saturday will be a lot of fun. The crowd will be live, and It'll be a great atmosphere.
Tar Heels win it tonight, guys, 72-64 over Boston College. That's Hubert Davis inside the Continental Tire Coach's Corner.
Alongside RJ Davis after Carolina beats Boston College 72-64. RJ, we asked this to Mondo last time we were here. You were looking at the box score before we went on the air. When you look at a box score, what does RJ Davis look at?
First of all, see how many assists and turnovers we had, and then me personally, just want to just make sure I'm limiting my turnovers and getting the guys the ball, and just overall of how we did it, how we got the win, where we can improve on, just to see where we were efficient, where we weren't, and stuff like that.
3 assists and 1 turnover for RJ. 8 assists on 26 baskets for the Tar Heels, which is a relatively low number. What was Boston College doing defensively to force you to play a little more one-on-one?
Boston College, they're a good team, especially in the passing lanes and defensively. They're physical, so they're gonna and they're kind of like a packed-in defense. So, they did a good job of maintaining the ball and being physical. Was kind of disruptive with whatnot, but we were able to execute when we needed to. Got the baskets down the stretch.
Executing when you need to is something that maybe wasn't happening a month or two ago, but now it does seem, like you said, to be happening more often. What's different about the way you're able to, when you need a score or a stop, you're able to get it?
Yeah, we're tuning in to the details and being disciplined. I think that's what's a missing key for us this year, just being disciplined and staying disciplined. So these past few days in practices, that's what we've been focusing on, concentrating on that, the little details, because they matter in practice. Because the little details we fix up there in the practice, then we're going to look really well on the game whenever that is.
What kind of little details are better right now than they were maybe 2-3 weeks ago?
Our shot selection, limiting turnovers, getting out in transition, like that's Carolina basketball right there, and just being a great defensive team. We set a goal at the beginning of this year to be a great defensive team. So just looking back on what we wrote down and just listen to the coaching staff, because we have the talent. Coach Davis says we got the talent, we can talk. So why not do it? So that's what we're focusing on.
3-pointers were hard to come by tonight for everybody except for RJ Davis. What were you able to do to find some spaces in the BC defense on a night when everybody else was struggling?
I just get to my spots, and when I'm shooting, just being relaxed. I feel like once the ball leaves my hands, I'm relaxed. It's a higher percentage chance of it going in and taking the shots that were open, not being too hesitant. I think sometimes I'll hesitate or take a dribble rather than just catch and shoot, because that's what I'm good at. So that's what I was able to do tonight, and then credit to my teammates for finding me.
You look like you've felt better about your shot the last 2-3 weeks, maybe. You never felt bad about your shot, but it just looks like it's going in every time. Have you made any adjustments to what you're doing?
No adjustments. I think a little beginning of the year, having a dislocated finger and the tape on my finger kind of like bothered my shot a little bit. So taking that off and just getting back to my confidence and having the ability to shoot it, because that's what I put in all work and all off season. So just having that in the back of my mind going into the games has been working out.
This has been a stretch against some of the teams that are not as high up in the ACC, but there's a stretch coming up against some teams that are really good. What does this team need to do better as you go into that stretch against some tougher competition?
Just take it day by day. Try not to look too far ahead and forward. And I think the main thing is, like I said, is just be disciplined. Like, we're talented enough. We got a good group, but as a team, like, we're really good when we're disciplined and we're locked in and doing the things that we practice and practice. So I feel like we got to take it day by day. And just remain positive, keep high spirits and high energy in the locker room. I think that's going to go a long way for us this year.
That's RJ Davis after 18 points in Carolina's win over Boston College. RJ, thank you.
Appreciate it.
The Tar Heels get the win. They move to 13-6 overall, 5-3 in ACC play. And Adam, not to suggest that things have been easy for the Tar Heels to this point, because they haven't. Carolina has played the hardest schedule in total of any team in the ACC. It's top 10 in the nation. But the next several games, Adam, really get tough for Carolina. NC State coming to the Smith Center on Saturday. Pack playing very well at this point in time. Trip to Syracuse, always tricky. Then Pittsburgh, who's already beaten Carolina, comes to Chapel Hill. Then at Duke. Then at Wake. Then Clemson, who came into the night undefeated in the ACC, comes to the Smith Center. It's about to get real for the Tar Heels schedule-wise. Yeah,
the Tar Heels' majority of their ACC games have been against teams in the bottom half to bottom third of the league. Those games are pretty much over now. The difference, I think, where Carolina stands right now as opposed to where they were last year, the Tar Heels have already shown they can beat good teams. That was a question mark at this point last year, but Carolina's beaten Michigan. They've beaten Ohio State. They've got some good wins. Now you've got to go do it against Atlantic Coast Conference opponents, and as Jones said, that's going to start on Saturday in a big one.
5 o'clock here in the Smith Center. Carolina and NC State radio-wise will be on the air at 4 p.m. But the big storylines tonight, Armando Bacot puts his name atop an impressive list in Carolina history, tying Billy Cunningham in career double-doubles, and the Tar Heels grind through it to get the win over BC, again outlasting the Eagles 72-64. Thanks for joining us here on the Carolina Insider.
Love's going to get a run out. He hammers it down.
It's live action out there.